Shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Baharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. It says, Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Right? While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. So basically, this is telling you, listen, man, get this truth before the chaos. All right? In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. All right, the grinding is going to be low. They're going to devalue by design a man's work. All right, that's what they're basically setting up a system where they're devaluing people. They're disenfranchising people, and they want to make it where, well, if you're going to survive and you're going to live in this world, it's by their providence, because they don't need you. That's the setup that they're setting up. All right, that's the psyop that they're putting on the people. This earth was created for people, man, but they're coming like the earth ain't created for people. The earth is created for corporations, and people are surplus to requirements. That's basically the psyop that they're pushing out there on the minds of the people. All right, because in the end, they want to put you in a situation where you're groveling, you're bowing at the feet of the beast and worshiping the beast for life. And you're supposed to be worshiping Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and the Lord has provided everything here for man to live. All right, but Esau's basically made the majority of the people in the world into human resources, and now he's pushing this idea that he don't really need you human resources no more, and you've been addicted to what? Having a job. Right? It's nasty what Esau's done. But let's play this and we're gonna get into it.
I got laid off today. After 10 years.
I told you guys I was let go today after 20 years.
Today, I was laid off at Amazon.
And then I went to Amazon and I worked my literal off.
I keep getting job offers that are extremely lowered wages due to them knowing people are desperate.
I got laid off in May. It is now the end of October. Well, look at all these open tabs. The job hunt right now, you guys. If you got a job, just keep it, okay?
Amazon recently announced their largest corporate layoff, cutting 14,000 employees, with executives hoping to eliminate 600,000 workers by 2033. When Amazon, the U.S.'s second largest employer, starts laying off employees, it gives cover to other CEOs. UPS announced 48,000 layoffs.
And this is all coordinated. Amazon don't need to be laying off no workers. They make ridiculous amounts of profits. They don't need to do that. It's not AI, or they don't need to be doing all this. This is being done on purpose because they want to squeeze the people. They want to disenfranchise the people. All right, so you come bowing at the beast for life. All right, they're gonna say, well, we don't need you, but we could do this for you.
YouTube is offering its employees voluntary exit packages. Chegg announced it was cutting 45% of its workforce. Target cut roughly 1,800.
And it's all about AI. Not AI, all right, because AI can't do everything right now. At this moment in time, AI can't do anything, and in certain cases, AI is actually inefficient. All right, in certain cases within tech, AI is inefficient. But they're using AI to create this crisis.
Employees. GM cut roughly 1,700 employees. Meta, Rivian, Ford, the list goes on. And this is just for the month of October. It doesn't even cover the layoffs we've been experiencing
You
throughout.
even had the U.S. government. You know, when you look at the federal government, right? The U.S. population has grown, but the federal government, in terms of the amount of employees they hire, hasn't grown to keep up with the U.S. population, which shows the federal government has been efficient in terms of the human resources they employ, to get the job done, right? Social Security and so on and these things. The reason they're firing all these people, right, is again for the same thing. It's the appearance that you don't need people no more, and people are bad, and they just there working, and you don't need them, so they fired them. And but then what that also does is all those people that get fired from the public sector now go into the private sector looking for a job, which again is gonna supply and demand. It's gonna be more workers, less jobs, gonna drive down wages, and again disenfranchise more people.
Year. But there's one layoff I want to highlight. Paramount. If you watched my previous video, I mentioned how David Ellison, son of tech billionaire Larry Ellison, had purchased Paramount, further growing his media empire. Despite this open letter David sent to Paramount employees after taking over the company, claiming, "You are the heart of this company," Paramount cut 1,000 employees with that number.
And just to mention it, when you look up that, remember the White House is a seat of witchcraft. When you look at this renovation that Trump is doing with this Baal room, that he's building, look at the companies which are donating the money. And it's a big ritual. It's a big ritual because these big tech companies are basically the state. Well, that's what they're showing you. That the reality is that, and this is how it's always been, these big private corporations that they say are separated from the state have always been part of the state. It's one and the same because the same people, same group of people really owns it. And that's what you're going to see happening. The merger, it's going to become more obvious that the state that is merged with these big tech companies and these big agro. It's all one. All right, and that's why you see them destroying the small businesses and destroying the mom and pops, because really in the end, all they want is one mega system with these big corporations and the state running everything. The beast. And in order for you to access it, you're going to have to take that chippity chip.
Expected to be 2,000 in coming weeks.
If companies like Google and Amazon and Meta are making billions, why are they laying people off?
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, it's a good question. Because they don't need to be laying these people off. There is no reason, because they already outcompete everyone. Right? Amazon and all, they're Illuminati companies, man. They got unlimited funds. Stock price, whatever. That's just the game. They can pump that stock price to whatever they feel like. They control all that. That's what people don't realize. When they pick a company and they want a company to be rich and they want it to be big, that's exactly what it's going to be. And there's nothing the company can do to stop that. Because it's all funny money anyway. They control the system. So it's like these companies don't need to be laying off no one. They make ridiculous amounts of money. They could have a massive workforce and it wouldn't make no difference. They're doing it on purpose because they want the people to be in straits in order for them to buy into the new system.
Read. These billionaires don't care about us. They only care about showing growth to Wall Street every 3 months. Remember when property developer Tim Gurner said that unemployment needed to rise 40-50% to put us workers back in our place?
And we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer.
So what, break down what he's really saying here. We need you to worship the beast. We need you to realize that you live based upon us. You are not self-sufficient. You are a serf and you live on our planet. And whether you live or die is based upon whether we give you money. Because you can't do nothing for yourself. We own the system. You either work for us or nothing. You either do what we say or nothing. That's the situation that they're pushing right now. And that's basically what this guy is saying, but in a roundabout way. And this is why more pain is coming.
The other way around. There's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them. It's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the
That's what they're saying. They want to kill that attitude. Right? If you're getting UBI, if you have a job, you need to thank the beast. You need to worship the beast. Because we could turn your chip off, we can fire you, we can not give you no UBI, and you'll be dead. Because you don't have no means of production for yourself, because we own it all. We have everything. You don't have nothing. How you going to get food? How you going to eat? How you going to get electricity? You got your own grid. All right. We got the military. We got the might.
Which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment.
What isn't discussed enough is the shadow.
See, it's a global thing. So UK, same thing. All right. They're going to squeeze the people, man, to have these people worshiping the beast, begging the beast for life.
Layoff system. More companies are hiring part-time and contract workers as a means to cut costs. This means for the workers, no retirement plans, no healthcare benefits, and no severance package. The WARN Act doesn't require corporations in every state to report part-time or contract workers as part of their layoffs. This is why the layoff numbers might seem low, but if we account for all employment type, we've actually seen 13.8 million layoffs from January to August of this year. Laying off contractors or conducting performance-based exits doesn't make headlines.
And once these people get laid off, this is the situation. It's like, we don't live in a society where you have your own family homestead or you have your own family business, which is how it would be. I did the video about the biblical economy. In the biblical economy, every family would have their own means of production in order to be self-sufficient. You don't have that in this society. Most people, if you get fired from your job, what are you going to do? Grow tomatoes on your windowsill? First of all, how are you going to pay rent to have a windowsill to grow your little tomatoes? And you can't. Let me show you something. So it says here, the land required for subsistence farming varies significantly. And remember, farming is not a thing that you just pick up today and you feed yourself tomorrow. Like, okay, you're going to die. Like, this has to be something that you've been doing. Right? Or you have someone in your family or someone has expertise in this. The land required for subsistence farming varies significantly based on factors like farming intensity, soil quality, and location. For a family of 4 aiming for full self-sufficiency with livestock, 5 acres is a common estimate, while intensive gardening on a quarter acre can provide a significant portion of a family's vegetable needs. For those using more extensive and less intensive methods, the land requirement could be much higher, which estimates suggesting 20 acres or more for a family of 5. How many families have 20 acres or more of land and the ability and the know-how to feed themselves? You don't. So you rely on a system, and this is what they've done to the people. They've created a system that you rely on. If you get fired and you don't get another job or you don't get SNAP benefits, you have to steal. Because what are you going to do? Are you going to then grow some cilantro on your windowsill and feed you and your family? No, it doesn't work like that. And this is because they moved away from the biblical economy. In the biblical economy, every family is a landowner in some way, shape, or form, which affords you the ability to produce for yourself. You're not reliant on big corporations giving you a job. The system isn't reliant on big corporations giving people jobs. All right. You work because you choose to work for someone else rather than having to work for someone else. It's not a system of serfdom. But that's what it is. 99.9% of people on this planet, man, they're cooked, especially in the West, and they don't know it. The people in the West are the worst because they do not realize that that's what has happened to them. You've become less self-sufficient as time has gone and more reliant on a system that you can be now locked out of. And if you're locked out of that system, what do? You get fired, and this goes for even people that got money. You got your little New York apartment or whatever. You're doing your middle class. So yeah, most people here in London, you spend all that money on the house. The garden ain't that big. Well, you can't grow food for yourself in that garden. You just got an expensive house here. But in terms of value to you and your survival, it ain't worth much more than any other house, really, because you can't produce from that house. It's a joke. And I did a video on my channel. All you got to do is go back. I went into the biblical economy, but this is Numbers 3:54. And ye shall divide the land by lot for an inheritance among your families. And to the more you shall give the more inheritance, and to the fewer you shall give the less inheritance. Every man's inheritance shall be in the place where his lot falleth. According to the tribes of your fathers ye shall inherit. Right? The biblical system is that all people, within their land, would inherit land and keep that land. And that land is your life that's been given to you by the Heavenly Father. Really, the land belongs. That's the key to the biblical economy. Is everything goes back to the Most High. The Most High owns the land, but the Lord is giving you that land as your life. Esau took that land away. Now Esau saying he is your life. You have to rely on the beast, and that's going to lead to people worshiping the beast and taking that mark.
But accounts for up to 30% of this year's job losses. Amazon claims that they're laying off employees in an effort to operate like the world's largest startup. They claim they need to increase their efficiency. Yet in 2024, they generated $638 billion.
So why do they need it? You look at the amount of money that profits these men are generating. So why do they need to do all this? No, it's by design. There's an ulterior motive, different to what they're telling the people.
It seems they're operating at pretty high efficiency. While most headlines are focused on AI, Amazon has been building an army of robots. A leaked internal
And
document.
they didn't need to do that. They didn't need robots to have a successful system and still make profits. They didn't need it. The reason they're bringing all these robots and these AIs in is to disenfranchise the people, to make the people basically, you're at the mercy of these corporations and the state because you're surplus to requirements. Right? And the thing is, you got these middle class people looking down on the people on Snap, not understanding that you're looking at them thinking they're surplus to requirements. The elites look at you as if you're surplus to requirements, and that's how they're gonna make the system. The system is gonna be that there's very few people that the system is gonna say they actually need, and everyone else you're living on the system's dime. So you gotta worship the system and take that chip and do exactly as they say. Otherwise, it won't turn your chip off and leave you out in the cold.
It shows
And execute you.
executives hoping they can eliminate 600,000 roles by using robots. And they know how bad this sounds. That's why also in the document, they discussed replacing words like automation, AI, and robot with the term advanced technology. But here's the dystopian reality. Back in June, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy addressed all the employees about AI and automation. We have strong conviction that AI agents will change how we work. There will be billions of these agents. We will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today. The keyword here.
And the thing is, what they'll have it is that's gonna be like a higher tier if you actually have a job in one of these big companies, like, and you'll get a house with that. That's why they're building these company towns, where, like, you know, Tesla like has built their own town. So if you're an employee of Tesla, you get to live in that town, and the house and everything comes with the job. But if you lose that job, then you gotta move because you don't own anything. It's the company owns everything. You're just there on their dime. The beast.
Is will. He's not saying AI agents are currently good enough to replace human workers. He's saying they will be, maybe in the future.
Probably in 2025, we at Meta, as well as the other companies that are basically working on this.
I mean, these guys are taking a piss. Here it is. You got these dudes that are openly billionaires, and they're just firing people for there's no need for it. They could. There's no need for it. Like, people don't understand. Like, they're making it look like this is a natural progression to make people obsolete. There's no need for it. And if you're gonna make people obsolete, yeah, those people should be furnished liberally in able to be able to produce for themselves, but they don't, because the system doesn't allow for that. So you create a system where people are dependent on your employment, but now you're saying that you don't need them. This is insane.
To have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that you have at your company that can write code. And then over time...
Yeah, because at the moment, the AI doesn't do the mid-level jobs. AI at the best can do the entry level. And even then, it's not as efficient, you know, from what I'm hearing from the man know in tech, that it ain't all it's cracked up to be, but they're pushing it anyway.
Get to the point where a lot of the code in our apps, and including the AI that we generate, is actually going to be built by AI engineers instead of people engineers.
Again, the key words here, I think probably these are just hopes. They're laying off real human workers today, despite recognizing that AI cannot do a mid-level engineer's job. But
And this is what people, and that's what's getting lost in the translation, that they're just telling you that you're obsolete and you're not needed and all this stuff, right? Because they just want to fire you, and AI is better, but AI isn't actually better at the moment. They just want to create this crisis.
hoping one day it can. They're redirecting the money they used to pay real human workers
So that when they come and hire people back, they're going to hire you back. You're going to think you're not needed, and they're going to hire you back for cheap.
to AI investments. They're betting on a future that hasn't even arrived yet. They could afford both employees and AI, but instead they're laying off workers right before the holidays after record profits, while the CEOs get richer from the very act of firing them. Because for these executives, layoffs are a means to cut costs. And who costs the most? Senior employees. A perfect example of this that we saw earlier this year was when Microsoft let go of Ron Buckton. Now, if you're not a developer, you may not know who he is, but Ron spent 18 years at Microsoft. 10 of those years was spent working on TypeScript. TypeScript is used by over 5 million developers. I use TypeScript. The majority of the websites that you interact with use TypeScript. And despite Microsoft having over $245 billion in revenue for 2024, they still let Ron go. Was Ron suddenly discovered to be a slacker after 18 years of promotions? Or is it that executives looked at a spreadsheet, saw his senior level salary, and decided that number was too big? And at the same time they're laying off senior workers, they're also eliminating junior positions. Between January and October of 2024, the unemployment rate for
So the guys at the top and the guys at the bottom are being laid off, and then when these people that are coming out of university with these degrees, the jobs they would go into, these graduate programs, these entry levels, but they're not really hiring entry level no more. Mid-level only. So this is demonic, man. So they're creating a crisis.
recent college graduates was 15.3% in their first year after graduation. This shows recent graduates are staying unemployed for longer and they're applying to roles outside of their degrees just to land their first position. And it's not looking any better in other countries.
There are many graduates now that are coming out of universities, which means that there are more people that are graduating necessarily for the jobs that are there. I saw a rather shocking statistic in the UK earlier this
People are not supposed to be surplus to requirement, man. This is insane.
week that was talking about the fact that last year there were 1.2 million graduates for 17,000 jobs, which starts to give you the idea of just how competitive that market has become.
Crazy.
And on top of that, with AI, many of those graduate jobs are changing or are more difficult for people to get into.
Vercel used its best salesperson to train an AI agent, allowing the company to reduce a 10-person team's work down to just one person managing the AI agent. As a developer, I also see this. A lot of companies are now using AI agents to do the smaller Jira tickets that usually a junior developer would do. But this means that they're effectively eliminating junior positions, while at the same time we have fewer senior employees because their salaries make them layoff targets. More seniors and retirees are returning to the workforce because they can't afford the cost of living on their retirement funds or their Social Security. In fact, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, people
They're gonna
aged
have to do like Soylent Green, man, and just liquidate the old. That's another crisis. There's way too many old people, not enough young people in the West. That's another crisis they created. Oh boy.
50 and older are the fastest growing group of those experiencing homelessness, with that number expected to double by 2030.
This is my tent. There's my kitchen. Yes, I am out in the woods. But here's a little secret. I got plenty of privacy.
Because despite paying into Social Security with every paycheck, that money isn't being saved for you. It's being used to pay for current retirees, and it's also not keeping up with the cost of living. The average monthly payment for retirees is $2,002. I'm not currently in the US, but even here in Stockholm, that wouldn't cover my rent. But regardless, the US government is considering increasing the retirement age to 69.
And that's another thing that they did on purpose. Like they could have, the whole housing crisis. First of all, they made having a house into some kind of great investment that people expect house prices to just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, which it's not supposed to be like that. Right? That's not what the purpose of the purpose of housing was never meant to be an investment. The house is supposed to be for you to live, and people are supposed to be able to build and access houses at an affordable price to live. So you got a racket where people want the house to go from 200 grand to $1 million. So you got the housing bubble that they're building up, and at the same time, these developers, these big developers, especially over here in the UK, where they could have been building more housing, they don't, because they want to make more money out of the houses they do build. So they purposely keep the supply of houses low. Like this is a messed up society, man. All this crisis is by design. They have the know-how and the money to provide housing that's affordable to everyone, because there are people that exist who can build these houses and the resources exist. This is not an issue. This is all by design.
Despite many workers claiming that employers are deeming them too experienced, a nice way for these companies to say that they don't want to hire you after 40. And actually, Workday, that horrible job application software, they're being sued with applicants alleging the company's AI disqualified them because they were over 40.
So I made a post about over a month ago talking about how I was laid off at 50, being at the peak of my career, and thousands of you replied saying you're going through the same thing. They say you're too overqualified. Again, you're not going to be happy here. I even had someone make a comment saying that they went to Trader Joe's to try to get a job and they were denied because they are overqualified.
It's 2025, and the new reality is that people in their mid-50s, late 50s are the new unemployables. It's almost impossible to land another job at your current level. You can almost kiss it goodbye. They can say ageism is illegal all they want. They can...
So the young people are struggling to get the entry-level jobs, and the older, middle-aged people are getting laid off and can't get jobs. This is insane.
Make believe that it's kumbaya and we love everybody and we're all equal. And no, it doesn't work like that.
If that's the case, how exactly are we supposed to work until we're 70 if these companies stop hiring people around the age of 40? And more graduates are now switching to trade jobs, meaning that blue-collar workers are now competing against white-collar workers for the same handful of trade jobs.
Yeah, because the next thing is they're telling everyone is, oh yeah, become an electrician. Electricians and trade jobs are only lucrative at the moment because not that many people are doing it. As more people then are now, it's supply and demand, as more people decide they're going to get trained up to do these particular jobs, guess what? Guess what happens to the salary? You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's common sense. It's only making good money now because there's not that many people. If everyone is jumping on it, then obviously how it's saturated now.
We've seen at least 180,000 government employees let go, and now we see senior FANG employees re-entering the job market after layoffs.
I'm a recent college grad looking for a job, and today I learned that not only are we competing with all of the people last year who couldn't get jobs, we are also competing with people who are currently working in entry-level jobs and looking to switch companies because their companies aren't promoting them because the market is so bad. A recruiter I just got off the phone with told me that I'm going up against someone who has 2 years of postgraduate full-time work experience, and I just don't know how I'm supposed to compete with that.
So let me get this straight. We have retirees, new graduates, blue-collar and white-collar, government employees, senior FANG employees, all fighting over a dwindling number of jobs. And at the same time that everyone's trying to find a job, inflation is out of control. The cost of living the past 5 years just keeps increasing.
I want to see if anybody else is experiencing this. So last year, my homeowner's insurance for the year was $3,018. Year before that, it was $2,600. Year before that, $2,200. Year before that, $2,100. I've owned this house for 4 years. This year, my homeowner's insurance is over $6,000.
You know, let me get a scripture here, man, because this, all of this is just by design, and it's insane. Boy, oh boy, it's because Esau, Edom, man. This is all his design, man. All right, this is Sirach 10:1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Right? We already have the blueprint for a wise government. It's in the scriptures. We got a blueprint for how you should think and how you should operate. Right? The spirit, a righteous spirit, a humble, meek, and righteous spirit is how a government should be ordered, according to the wisdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, which is written in scriptures, the law, statutes, and commandments, and the principles. Esau's doing his own thing, and that's why you're having all these problems, because he's a devil. It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. All right, the spirit of selfishness. All right, spirit of selfishness, greed, envy, oppression. That's what permeates this society. That is the way. That is the pretty much everyone in this society wants to be an oppressor. That is the goal, right? The goal is to make as much money as possible, buy up all the properties, buy up everything, and have everybody just working for you, and paying you rent. This is the truth. The truth is that in this society, the idea of being rich is not about building up your own thing. It's about having everything, having as much as possible, right? And then impoverishing everyone else around you. It's your mindset really is to be an oppressor. Everybody wants to be up there with the oppressors. It's an insane society. You could be successful and be rich without being an oppressor. That's the thing, you know. But in this society, everybody wants to be an oppressor, man. It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, as you see, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. And that's Yahweh Shai and 144,000, man. This is insane.
Claims.
And this man's supposed to be the most high IQ, and that should show you that what does he actually use his IQ for? Esau uses his intelligence, to destroy, to manipulate, to deceive, right? Because it don't have to be this way. It really doesn't. We've read the scriptures. We know the proper principles. This is all, but everything you see happening is literally by design. He said, this is what I want to do. I want to destroy people. I want to create a system that's oppressive. It's insane, man.
In the last 4 years, I've never had a claim against the house I'm living in now. But my insurance just doubled. Homeowners insurance doubled year over year with no claims.
Yet wages aren't keeping up with the cost of living, despite us seeing both Apple and Microsoft hit a $4 trillion valuation. And meanwhile, our representatives are telling us that inflation is only 3%, yet they're not explaining the bigger picture. Inflation may be 3% this year, but what was it last year and the year before? They're not adding on all the prior years, because the reality is inflation rarely decreases. And in fact, it benefits the government.
And that's why you got Trump out there telling you, oh, everything's down, everything's great, I'm the greatest president. Every time you see this guy up on the stage, he's just blowing himself and just sucking his own rod, like, you know what I mean? And these MAGA man go along with it because they have to. They're emotionally invested. The left is all crying, but if Kamala was in, she would be doing the same thing, and they'd be all. It's just madness, man. The whole thing is insane, man. The whole thing is absolutely insane. I'm tired of it, man. Just open up the chaos, man, so we can get out of here, man. Because this is crazy. I'm tired of, man. I just want to chill on my farm. You know what I mean? Tired of all this foolishness, man. It's madness. It's insanity. Mental asylum.
Have inflation because it means they owe less debt. And about that inflation, a lot of it is artificially created. Tyson and other corporations conspired to create.
That's another thing. These big corporations, they'll turn around and just purposely put the prices up, like, for no reason. Like over here in the UK, the energy prices. Yeah, you had an energy crisis, and then they took the energy crisis and they made record profits, man, because they just put the price of energy up anyway, even more, like, and use the energy crisis as an excuse. It's insane, man. This thing, what we're going through, boy. Oh man.
A pork shortage so that they could increase the prices of pork from 2009 to 2018. When they were caught, they paid just $85 million. That's nothing compared to the $20 billion pork industry. In earnings calls, the CEO has bragged about passing on inflation to consumers. Keep in mind, the same CEO that was caught creating artificial inflation.
Like many other companies, we were faced with a range of higher levels of inflation. Our teams have worked together with our customers to pass along that inflation through price increases.
We will remain disciplined and agile in our pricing initiatives to ensure that any additional inflationary pressures are passed along to customers.
We like to think that we have relationships with customers that allow us to be able to take to them inflation that we see in the marketplace and be able to pass that on ultimately to the consumer.
This is what genuinely terrifies me. As unemployment keeps rising and millions of us are fighting over fewer jobs, all while the economy is horrible, we're handing unprecedented power to these corporations, and they know it.
Companies there you go, the beast. These men got all the power and the leverage. They got all the power and the leverage. That's what they want. This is what this whole thing is about. The beast has the power and the leverage, and you need to come and bow down and kiss the ring.
Already using dynamic wage setting, using algorithms and AI to decide what we should be paid. It's algorithm exploitation. Uber pioneered this. Their AI was able to identify which drivers would accept a $3 ride because they're behind on their bills. DoorDash also uses it. CareRev uses it for healthcare workers.
I have been struggling to pay all my bills on time. When I first moved into this apartment 5 years ago, that wasn't an issue at all. I feel ashamed sometimes as a man or as a person that I can't come up with the bills. It's frustrating. I Uber every day. Right now it's Wednesday. I drove around from 7 till 11 and made $20.
What is stopping Amazon, Microsoft,
Madden.
Apple, or any other company from using this same type of wage setting? They already know our salary. They monitor everything we do on our work computer and phone. Because the reality is, Amazon laid off 14,000 workers, yet they're still hiring for engineering, sales, and management. Microsoft laid off over 15,000 this year. They're hiring. Intel laid off roughly 22,000 this year, yet they're still hiring. These corporations lay off people only to hire new employees at a lower salary with less equity and a worse benefits
And that's
package.
another thing you see happening. And that's happening everywhere. You know, you got these old boys and, you know, they might be on 50K for a particular role. And what they'll do is they'll create a new role that sounds similar, but it's like half the salary. You know? Yeah, it's crazy.
They're already trying to replace us with AI. Is it really that big of a stretch to think that they wouldn't lower our salaries by roughly 30% because their AI determined that we're willing to accept that salary in this economy? They increasingly give us worse salaries, while Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, made $40 million in 2024. His compensation is directly tied to Amazon's stock price. The day Amazon announced 14,000 layoffs, Amazon stock jumped 13%. The day UPS announced 48,000 layoffs, their stock price jumped almost 13% as well. Wall Street literally rewards.
Yeah, of course, you know, them guys are gonna get the benefits. But this is where we're at right now, and it's only gonna get worse. You know, and you know, none of these politicians are going. They want the people to be in crisis because it's for the purposes of that chip. All right. Revelations 13. Let's read that. All right, Revelations 13 and 15. He said, and he had power to give unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that even if you look at the internet is pretty much run by a couple corporations. You know, Amazon Web Services, and so many people rely on the internet already. So you're at their whim, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now I want to go 14 and 9. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his right hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Now you look up that word there for worship, which is what they want. They want to bring you to a point where you're worshiping Esau, Edom, his state and his corporations for life, like they're the Most High. That's what they want. And to bring you to that situation, all right, they're going to break you. That's what they want to do. They want to break you, man. Proskuneo, right? It says to kiss the hand towards one in token of reverence. That's what they want, man. It says meaning like a dog licking his master's hand. They want to this system. They're gonna collapse it and bring the people to a breaking point where they're willing to kiss the lick the hand of the state, right, to receive some UBI or some access to some kind of service, all right, or get some kind of job. And that's what it's all about, man. The proskuneo, they need to break you down, right, where you worship the state, man. The state is God, not the Most High. The state is God, and you live and die by the state and these corporations. That's part of it. To hell with that, man. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word which proceedeth out of the mouth of the Heavenly Father, man. The life coming from the Lord, man, doesn't come from these damn devils, man. They could kick rocks. All right, but this is what's happening. So more chaos, more designed chaos is coming. They're going to keep playing with people. This snap thing was playing with people's emotions, playing with your mind, showing you how dependent you are on them. So you better kiss that ring. Yeah, they're going to make you feel powerless. There's only power in the state. All right, this is what this thing is about. All right, but we know that the power ain't in the state. The power is in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. So we ain't worried about these devils, man. So do your thing. All right, but people gonna bug out, man. People gonna bug out. I'm telling you, 2nd Ezra 15 is coming, man. They're gonna cause craziness. All right, and even that for security, most people rely on the state for security, especially here in the UK. They made it where you can't secure yourself. You rely on the state. You ain't got nothing to defend yourself. All right, from these criminals. Right, 2nd Ezra 15, and that's why we're gonna need spiritual powers, because there's gonna be a lot of these criminals running around out here trying to rape, rob, and steal. Those gonna have to raise up a standard against them too. Most people can't deal with these damn criminals that's out here, these demons. They gonna need the state to deal with them. All right, 15 for the 16 it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, right? Because you're gonna get a segment of the population that are gonna say to hell with the beast and to hell with the state, and they're gonna go rogue. And they know that. They do the calculate. They know the psychological profiles. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay, and they show you this in so many different movies, man, where they show you where you have this mad crisis and the state comes in and establishes a new order, and the people worship the state because the state saved them from that calamity. And that's basically what Esau's trying to do here. Esau is gonna bring chaos, destruction, right? And then he's gonna be the one to provide the salvation, the solution. But you're gonna have to worship him and get down with the get down. But we ain't getting down with that. I'm sorry. Like, allow it, man. It's already bad enough having to deal with all this BS, man. We ain't, oh man, you're better off in the spirit world. That's the truth. But even just dealing with this level of Esau is extremely vexating, man, to say the least. All right. So if that, I'm gonna say shalom.